Welcome to the Born Woke channel, where we talk political news, commentary, advice, you name it, we give it. Today we're talking about the cognitive dissonance of the right, of the MAGA right. It's interesting to sit down and talk to some of these people because it's a never-ending cycle. When you have cognitive dissonance, it's what happens when a person holds two ideas in their mind that cannot be both true. And instead of changing the belief, they change the explanation. It's a psychological discomfort. And human beings will do almost anything to make that discomfort stop. Here's the key idea, plain and simple. If facts threaten identity, the facts get rejected, not the identity. Cognitive dissonance was formally defined by a psychologist, Festinger, but we can see it every day through the MAGA movement. Smokers deny they smoke. People stay in abusive relationship. People rather admit that they is something else other than the fact that they got scammed, other than the fact that this president may have scammed them. This is what is happening with the MAGA movement. And it's not about intelligence. It's not. It's about emotional protection. The stronger the emotional investment, the stronger the denial. And we've seen it every day. Every day. This is important because people often get this stuff wrong. People are more vulnerable to cognitive dissonance when their identity is tied to this belief. Religion, nationalism, political identities, masculine or traditional values. They feel a loss or displacement, economic decline, cultural change, loss of social economic status. They consume one-sided ideas or information like Fox News, or they feel mocked or dismissed, shame, ridicule, all different types of ways in which people get stuck in this cognitive dissonance. The brain will protect dignity before it protects truth. This is why yelling facts at people like this do not work. It actually deepens the dissonance.
Say right off the bat, I'm sorry I didn't wear my Trump shirt tonight. There's two things I want to talk about. Number one, I am sick and tired of being called racist and hateful.
The cognitive dissonance of MAGA is just wild. The fact that after all of this evidence, some of y'all still support this guy? Really? Okay. Yeah, he's not on the list. Sure, Jan. Right.
Our people, they're coming here and they're taking all of our jobs.
Well, and they don't want to work. A lot of them don't want to work.
They're taking our jobs and they don't want to work.
Exactly.
Have you ever heard of cognitive dissonance?
Yeah, kind of lately, just as of lately.
There's a lot of it lately. It's a lot of cognitive dissonance.
We're giving them benefits. We got people.
Yeah, they're taking our jobs and they're also not working and getting benefits.
Yeah.
They're working, but they're also not working.
No, it's called cognitive dissonance. Have you heard of it? I don't know if you like when you think about all these thoughts, like they're selling our jobs, they're living out of the state. Like it just it hurts my head to do this.
They're taking our jobs.
Yes, they will and continue.
And they're also not working, and they're living off public assistance.
And they're getting free education.
And I said they ought to shoot a couple. Facebook shut me down.
Cognitive dissonance, it happens a lot with this border stuff, right? Like because they're stealing our jobs. And they're living off the state and they're not working. Do you ever feel like when you're thinking about those things at the same time, you're just like you start to feel it?
Yeah, that's a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is that being exposed now?
Yeah.
Wow.
We only have so many resources. We're the richest country on earth. We're the best country on earth. But also no one should come here and we can't afford this.
Exactly. I agree.
This country's so great that the people that hate it won't leave.
Yeah. And the people that
That's
love
how
it.
good it is.
And the people that love it, we shouldn't let in.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
it's so funny how the left has been calling the right a cult for months now, yet here we are. We have this big, beautiful bill. Everyone's disagreeing with each other on the right side. Forget the left for a second, just on the right. We have everyone disagreeing with each other.
Lock in, fuck niggas. We about to fact check this shit. First, if you fuck with me, make sure you hit that follow button. Let's get it. First of all, what the hell are you talking about? MAGA disagreeing on the big beautiful bill does not prove that MAGA isn't a cult. No, what we need to understand is that MAGA is currently facing cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when belief and reality does not mix well. And when this happened, the individual is left with inconsistency and discomfort. The fact that MAGA actually believed that Trump's plan was going to lower the deficit and make America great again is literally cognitive dissonance. The fact that Donald Trump is going to increase our deficit was there prior to his inauguration, prior to him being elected. Even former Vice President Kamala Harris told us if his plan comes in action, it will increase our deficit. But you guys didn't listen. And when an individual is facing cognitive dissonance, there's one or two ways they're going to react. The first way is a change of thought. Some people will rationalize their thought to fit the current reality, or they'll even add to their thought. They will take the things that they don't believe in and try to rationalize why it's a good thing. Let's get this straight. MAGA isn't a cult because they have a total agreement with Donald Trump. No, MAGA's a cult because they idolize Donald Trump. It's because they have cult-like behaviors towards Donald Trump.
Yeah, so MAGA confuses me because I truly can't understand the cognitive dissonance. Most of them detest Biden, and when you ask them why, it's, well, he's creepy and he sniffs little girls' hair. But you bring up that their fave fascist is on Epstein's list 26 times, and suddenly they're okay with that type of energy. They're calling Gavin Newsom a disgusting scumbag for allowing California to vote on redistricting, saying how wrong and how violating it is to do such a thing. But then they celebrate Abbott and Trump doing it in Texas. They don't seem to mind the violation of the Constitution as long as that orange ogre is the one behind it. They claim to be Christ following, but they are literally skipping in the street at families being torn apart. At this point, I'm wondering if they have backbones at all, or if they're listening to a secret frequency that allows them to look past their own moral values in favor of supporting Nazis under the guise of religious pilgrimage. All I know is purgatory, possibly even hell, is going to be very full in about 40 to 70 years. Godspeed, y'all!
What the hell is going on with MAGA and Epstein right now? The other day, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, his own platform, that the Epstein files were in fact faked by Obama and Hillary Clinton. And he got ratioed for the first time on that site. At last count, over 40,000 people attacked his post. And these are tried and true MAGA supporters. What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. The cognitive dissonance wall is finally breaking. Trump once said famously that he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and his supporters wouldn't care. And for years, that was right. The cognitive dissonance wall is what protected him. Cognitive dissonance is defined as the mental discomfort that results from holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. The cognitive dissonance wall, as I'm calling it, or dam, is the containment of that tension by MAGA in order to continue to support Trump. In order for us to understand why MAGA are feeling the tension of cognitive dissonance, we have to hold one fundamental truth about being human, that whether we're MAGA or not, all of us are impacted over time by images of human suffering. Collectively, the pressure behind the cognitive dissonance wall or dam that MAGA have thus far been able to successfully maintain has been growing. Donald Trump made a lot of promises in this last campaign. He promised he would bring down grocery prices and housing prices. He hasn't done that. He promised that foreign countries would pay for his tariffs. He lied. The tariff program, which has been a disaster, is estimated now to be a 20% tax increase on all working Americans. He promised no more wars and then bombed Iran. He promised he would deal with the deficit, and then he passed the big beautiful bill, which gave a multi-trillion-dollar tax cut to billionaires that's going to come out of the pockets of working people for generations and drive the deficit up by additional trillions of dollars. But Donald Trump made one other promise during the 2024 election. Donald Trump made a promise to his voters that he would use the power of ICE and the federal government to track down violent criminals, drug dealers, and cartel members who were in the U.S. illegally. Now we're finding out that ICE officers are actually having to sideline important cases against human traffickers and drug dealers in order to instead chase down day laborers in Home Depot parking lots. Our social media and our news programs are being flooded with images of the cruelty of the Trump administration program. Images of wives crying out as their husbands are dragged away. Images of mothers being taken away from their own children on the streets of America. These are folks who have been living in our communities sometimes for decades. These are folks who pay taxes, who raise their children alongside ours, and who worship a Christian God in our churches. We now know that the alligator Alcatraz is literally hell on earth. The cruelty of the images that we are seeing cannot go unnoticed by MAGA, especially by MAGA women. It doesn't matter what party they're a member of. It doesn't matter where they are on the political spectrum. Women understand the deep and fundamental terror of having their children taken from them. They understand the horror of having their family broken up by the federal government. And the amount of tension it is creating for the MAGA movement to watch these videos day after day is destroying the carefully constructed cognitive dissonance wall that up till now has allowed Trump to do what he does unchallenged. MAGA cannot admit that they've been lied to across the full range of issues that are adding pressure to that wall. And they certainly cannot admit that they took pleasure in the cruelty because it angered and frustrated their political opponents. But the Epstein files, this final gaslighting lie from the Trump administration, the absolute moral clarity of the evil that Jeffrey Epstein represents and Trump's close proximity to him, coupled with all the other terrors that we have been witnessing, have broken the cognitive dissonance wall for MAGA. Donald Trump has pushed them too far.
So I'm just leaving my MAGA client's house, and his wife came downstairs while we were training. Donald Trump came up. They brought him up, talking about the stock market being up 500 points today. And I said, well, who cares? I said, the economy is grinding to a halt. It's, we're losing jobs hand over fist. Inflation is up. It's not good. It's not a good situation we're in right now. Just because the stock market's up, that doesn't mean anything. The more it goes up, the bigger it's going to fall. That's all that means to me. And it's going to fall. It's just a matter of when, not if. So then she brought up how he was doing good things for the farmers. And I said, well, he's bailing out the farmers, which is socialism, because of his tariffs. And then she went into some convoluted explanation about NATO countries not doing their part, and how China was watching our farmers and how they do things, and they were taking that back to their country, and none of it really made sense. But I went with, well, regardless of what you think about what the other countries were doing, whether it be China or other NATO countries, why does that justify him hurting Americans here now? And she didn't. She just kept going with, well, he's not hurting Americans and farmers. He's trying to help them. And I said, but it's because of his tariffs. His tariffs are doing it. And I said, oh, also, did you know that JD Vance is invested in a company called Acre Trader that actually buys farmland? And so you have a president who is enacting policies that is bankrupting farms, and you have JD Vance, the vice president, who is invested in a company that is buying up those bankrupted farms. I said, and her husband actually started laughing, and I said even he gets it. Like, I'm working on him. He gets it. He can sense corruption when he sees it. So, and she didn't really have too much to say after that, and we let it go, but it was very gratifying, very satisfying. So anyways, have a great weekend. I'm sure I'll be putting more of these out. So thanks. Bye-bye.
So you watched the Hunger Games and you sided with the Resistance. You watched Star Wars and you sided with the Resistance. You watched The Matrix and you understood and sided with the Resistance. You watched the movie Divergent and you sided with the Resistance. You watched V for Vendetta and you cheered on the Resistance. When it's fiction, you understand and you side with the Resistance. Yet when it's happening to you in real life, right now, in the news, in the world, right now, you refuse to see it when it's the reality that you are living in. You're afraid to resist in real life. blows my mind.
MAGA has no real beliefs and falls for everything because they stand for nothing. Hi, I'm Matt, and my hyperfixation is all the things you're not supposed to talk about with your friends and family. There's a pinned video on my page with over 20,000 views where I said, "Stop reaching across the aisle, there's no one there." And this is what I mean. They whine and rage post about the Mexican flags at the No Kings protests, but they have no problem flying Confederate flags at Trump rallies and on January 6th. They cried states' rights if Biden used the National Guard, but Trump sends them into LA against California's wishes, and they cheer for it. They want small government, but say nothing when Trump targets blue cities and blue states with ICE. They don't trust vaccines because of the chemicals, but they'll mainline Ozempic to lose 10 pounds. They say trans women have an unfair advantage and they're too strong for women's sports, but are also somehow too weak to serve in the same military that cis women serve in. They're super worried about which bathroom trans people are using because they want to protect women, but haven't stopped once to consider the fact that trans men are going to be walking into the bathrooms with their daughters and probably look more masculine than they do. They have no principles, only loyalty to him, and most of them couldn't pass a high school civics class, let alone a citizenship test.
I'm happy right now because I haven't seen near as many rainbow flags and rubbish as we've seen last year.
They're making the kids wear these flags and these hats.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, don't make the kids wear these flags and these hats and make it their entire personality.
No.
Absolutely.
Modern media systems, outrage, fear, reward versus us versus them. Once somebody lives inside an echo chamber, the contradictory information feels hostile, like we're attacking you. Outside labels are the enemy, evil, disloyal. Belief becomes loyalty. This is not accidental. Fear-based media, and it is amazing that we get that the propaganda arm of the Trump administration is Newsmax and Fox News. And the second brain is not a curious brain. It's more tribal thinking, reduces critical thinking. This is wild.
They make it their whole identity. They've got the shirts, they've got the flags, they got the hats, they got the shirts. It's like it's their whole personality. You got these people with these flags, they're waving it in our faces.
Right. I don't care if you're gay.
Like, just don't wave this flag in my face. These flags everywhere that they wave around in everyone's face. It's become their entire personality.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have these people with their flags and their hats that they wave around in everyone's faces, and it's become their entire personality.
I live in a place where everybody is gay. I hope I could say that.
You can't say gay, it's Florida.
Oh. No, that's only at Disney.
You should have seen how it looked me trying to just get on a flight to get down here with a MAGA hat on. They treated me like I was Osama bin Laden.
It's become harder to be open about your identity nowadays. Right?
Yeah, people just need to speak up. They need to say what they believe. I'm a straight male as well.
You're a straight white male.
And I'm proud of that.
You should see my truck. I can't see out my back window because I got so many bumper stickers. Just on a Saturday or Sunday, I got nothing to do. I put my flags out and I ride through town to remind everybody.
I can't wear a MAGA hat in some places because, some people don't like that identity. Can you imagine going someplace and being attacked just for your identity?
That's crazy.
MAGA has spent the last week convincing themselves that Donald Trump is simultaneously a master of human psychology and that he didn't know his best friend is the world's most notorious.
A few things I found interesting. I did watch the video multiple times and I've done videos on it, and I'm still seeing the same thing. He put himself in danger, shifted his phone to his non-dominant hand so he would have his gun hand ready before he even stepped in front of the car. But I find it interesting, out of all that I said and all the parallels I brought to Germany in the 1930s, that you still say watch the video. So by your logic, every single person there January 6th, the police should have just opened fire on all of them. Ashley Babbitt should have complied. A, she shouldn't have been there in the first place, because what the heck was she doing there? She had to fly to get there. And when the officer told her to stop, she should have complied. Had she complied, she would have been here now. She wouldn't be dead. And all the people, that's the way you see it, is on January 6th, the police should have just, once they said stop, they should have just opened fire, and whoever died, died. because they shouldn't have been there and they should have just listened. But you know what people are protesting? Do you really know? They arrested this kid at work doing his job, 19 years old, doing his job because he was brown. Look at him. They've got him tackled up, handcuffed him. I'm a citizen. And you know what? They didn't care. They didn't listen. They didn't ask him to show anything. They attacked him, put him on the ground, and put him in the car. Beat him up. And then once they realized that he was a citizen, did they take him back to where he worked? Nah.
Right here, they let him out of the vehicle, they tortured him. This guy right here, yeah. Tortured. You okay, man? No, I'm not okay. Bro, shit's crazy. My man's bleeding. Bleeding. They slammed me on the ground. We gotta be able to call somebody. This is ridiculous. You got family around? You got somebody here, man? Come on, we in here. Come on, man. You work here, don't you? No, I work at Target. Bro, come on, bro. It's okay. That is so crazy.
They left a 19-year-old kid that they just traumatized, stranded, 10 minutes away from his employer. They assaulted him at work, put him to the ground, beat him up, got him in the car, finally decided to realize that he was a citizen and booted him out just randomly. No concern for whether he was safe or not. No concern on if he could get back to where he was. They traumatized him and he was a citizen. And you're excusing all of this because you like the taste of black boot polish. Or are you a brown kind of guy? Do you find it more savory? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, deadly force was not warranted, period. The officer had a job. It was the officer's job to de-escalate the situation and be the one knowing what to do in a situation that can be volatile. And what you don't do in those situations is stand directly in front of a car. The woman's last words were, "I'm not mad at you, man." She didn't pose a threat to anybody. She didn't pose a threat to them. And she was trying to leave the scene. When he shot her in the head, as he saw her cutting the wheel away, he created a more dangerous environment because as she decerebate postures, because that's what happens when you get shot in the head, you decerebate posture, guess what happens? Her foot hits the accelerator and he created a deadly missile for wherever her wheel was turned once he shot her. So if there were fellow ICE agents in front of her car, he just endangered them. If there were citizens in front of her car in the street watching, he endangered them.
Check this out. This is the best explanation that I have heard regarding this cognitive dissonance. The best explanation that I have heard.
This all started with Barack Obama. I'm not blaming Obama, but that's when Fox News and the right-wing propaganda started peppering their base with bullshit. Now, I'm sure it was going on before that, but that's when I really noticed it. Now we're seeing the culmination of well over a decade of them feeding bullshit and lies and hate and fear-mongering to their base. I keep getting comments, just ridiculous stuff about how liberals hate America, our liberals want child bride, our Democrats are Satanists, and the left wants to hurt America and make us communists. When they first started doing this shit, we just laughed. Like, they were literally going after Barack Obama over Dijon mustard, and we laughed because it was silly, it was stupid. But it was the baseline for eroding away the critical thinking skills of an entire population. So it's boiled down to everybody on the left is evil and only people on the right love America. And you got to be on the right because that's where the masculine people are, and everybody on the left is feminine and blue-haired, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So Now they can get away with literally saying anything, and the right just jumps on it. So many examples, but the perfect one is, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets. What the fuck? That is such an asinine statement with no validity to it whatsoever. But yet, the right-wing propaganda arm pushes the story, the followers believe it, and then they start actually going up like, yes, there's evidence for this. And there is none. There's no evidence that they're chopping up dogs and eating cats and all this other garbage, but they believe it. And it piles on to the ridiculous beliefs that they already have. My point being is that they didn't come to these conclusions out of nowhere. They've literally been eroding their brains for well over a decade, if not longer. So when facts are presented, they don't see them as a critical attack on the thought process. They see it as an attack on themselves. So when somebody says trans people are attacking women in bathrooms, they just believe it. No evidence, no nothing. They just believe it. In reality, who's attacking women? Men. Priests, pastors, family members. But men. I guess the point of this long rant is that the Republican arm, the right-wing propaganda, has been building an Orwellian ideology. And they're not going to be able to see their way out of it. They're not going to be able to think their way out of it. No matter how many conversations we have with them, it doesn't seem to go anywhere because they already have this mindset that is fixed. And they've believed it for so long that Democrats and the left are evil, that all they're left with is supporting a pedophile, denying reality, and hating everyone who doesn't have white skin. And I almost feel sorry for them because you can't break out of a circle that you don't know you're in. But I also know talking to them rarely helps. I had a conversation with a guy last night, and he proceeded to tell me that he pulled his daughters out of their high school sports because the coach was gay. I asked him why it mattered, and that was a conversation. Asked him how he knew, and somebody had suspected him of being gay. The volleyball coach, somebody had said that the coach was gay, and that was good enough for him to pull his kids out. And I said, so if the coach had been with a child sex trafficker, would that have been bad? Oh yeah, I would have pulled him, no problem. Okay, but yet you're supporting a pedophile. And his response was, he's not a pedophile. I said, yeah, but he's been pictures with Jeffrey Epstein. He's in the Epstein files, the multiple reports. Look at all the evidence lined up to support the idea that Trump's a pedo. And then on the stuff that he literally bragged about assaulting women, I was like, would you let that person be your kid's coach? He goes, no. Okay, well, that's the good answer. He goes, but that's not Trump. Trump's not like that. Like, he already accepted the fact that he wouldn't let somebody like that around his daughters, but yet can't accept the fact that that person is our president and he continues to support him. Like, I don't know what to do with that conversation. I don't know how to talk to somebody like that. I kept trying to, because I don't really know what else we can do at this point except have these conversations. So we'll keep trying, I guess. But man, it's pretty ridiculous when you think about it.
And if
See, the election of Barack Obama, it wasn't just a political movement, right? For a lot of Americans, it was like a shock or like something weird happened to them, because that's when they started to get weird. That's when the United States really started to get weird. A black president, calm, educated, confident, representing a country that was clearly changing different demographics. For people who believed America was supposed to look a certain way, feel a certain way, this created confusion, and it was weird to these people. They didn't realize they had racism still in them. Some people adjusted their beliefs and accepted the change. Others could not. That's how we formed the Tea Party. Instead of saying the country is changing, we're getting better, we're getting more and more diverse, they said something is wrong. And once that happens, the mind looks for explanations that protect the old beliefs. Hence, the cognitive dissonance. That's when the rumors started to spread. That's when conspiracy theories started. They eased this discomfort that they had. They just couldn't accept that he was a black president. They make the change feel fake instead of real. This is where the cognitive dissonance moved from personal discomfort into this mass hysteria that it became. And then the MAGA movement wasn't just about politics. See, for many, it was about identity. It answers the question, who am I in a country that feels so different, so unfamiliar? Inside this mindset, contradictions don't cause problems. They get explained away. Breaking the law is bad unless it's done by someone on your side. Elections matter unless the wrong person wins. Elites are evil. Democrats are evil unless they support some other kind of movement or something. This is not logical thinking at all. It's protective thinking. Facts that threaten their leader, feel like personal attacks. You attack Donald Trump and these people lose their mind. Criticism feels like betrayal. I guess changing your mind feels like losing your tribe. So once belief becomes loyalty, truth doesn't matter as much. So Fox News introduced this goofy shit. And this is what we got. We got people like this. We have people doing this goofy stuff.
Now, my parents have been indoctrinated by Fox News. My mother likes to say that she was a lifelong Democrat, but now she has switched sides. And I'm like, well, you weren't lifelong Democrat then because your life is ongoing and you're no longer voting Democrat. But she's pushing all these right-wing talking points, which she understands even less than my father, and neither of them understand anything at all because all they watch is Fox News. They don't know how to fact check anything, and they just won't believe anything that goes against what Fox News tells them. So yesterday I did a live where I put on my Dr. Frankenfurter makeup from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, I happen to be a cisgendered, heterosexual female, born female, identify as female, etc., etc. I am an ally of the LGBTQIA plus community, but I'm not really a member of that community. So I did a live where I was putting on the makeup, and then later in the day, I did another live where I was in the makeup, and I was like, let's play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon or talk about Rocky Horror or whatever. That was like the topic of the live. And my daughter, who's like almost a year old now, she was not on camera. I do not show her on public social media, but you could hear her in the background. She's like learning to talk, so she's babbling a lot, etc. And I kept like going off camera to like get her away from things that she was messing with. And several people in my live said that my daughter should be taken away from me because me wearing drag makeup meant I was a narcissist, meant I was an abuser, meant that I was an unfit parent. They called me an it, etc. And I tried to, later when my mother called and was talking to me, I tried to like use that as an example of the hateful, bigoted rhetoric that people on her side of the aisle are pushing. That these are the people, this is the base of the party that she is voting for. And what does she say? Oh, those people probably don't vote. Like, seriously, this is what some right-wing voters tell themselves to deal with the fact that they are voting for the bigoted, hateful party that is advocating for genocide of marginalized communities. Oh, they probably don't vote. When voting is their entire being, when pandering to these people to get their votes is what the Conservative Party has been doing since Reagan. Or earlier. Just blows my mind and infuriates me.
I've said probably a dozen times on here that cults don't start to break apart until the leader is in full power. And Trump didn't get into full power till January 20th. And the reason it starts to break apart is because there's no more reasons, there's no more excuses why the carrot can't finally be delivered. the cult leader must deliver on their promises. And what I'm seeing in more and more videos on here by people that support him are these begging for the promises to deliver because their businesses are really hurting. They're either asking him to please stop the tariffs or put a hold on them, give them some time to figure out how to save their business. One guy has a trucking company, and he's like, you know, I know we just have to trust the process, and you know, the tariffs look great on paper, but this is getting very scary. My guys don't have any trucks to drive. We're just sitting here like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I have a serious question for MAGA, like the people that have woke up and realized what's happening. Because I was in a really bad relationship, and when I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I believed what this guy said. We're going on 14 years or something. You know, narcissism, whatever. I don't want to get into that. But when you realize all the lies that Trump's been saying for over a decade to you, and now you watch him on TV, because I was just watching him try to speak today. Do you guys, it must really be really hard for you to be like, I fucking believe this bullshit from this guy for this long when you see it. I mean, it must be, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm trying to say it must be really, really heavy for you guys right now, because he's not as bad as we said he was. He's worse. And humanity needs to do a little reckoning with themselves. And that you guys are having a hard time right now. So, I don't know. Let me know though. I mean, is it hard to see that, wow, I can't believe, when he says, oh yeah, and they, I won bigly, or I won good, or they stole the election. I mean, he's talking about all this stupid shit. And his, decorating the White House after he tore half of it down. I mean, they're keeping him busy with little projects while they steal all our money and do all kinds of other crazy stuff. And how are you feeling? Because this must be hard on you. We're not surprised, but I'm sure you guys are. So please let me know.
So I'm going to do a quick story time. So I live in a state where if you leave a metropolitan area, you can be in a MAGA haven within 50 miles, right? So I'm traveling and I stop at this gas station, you know, to get gas. So I go in to get some snacks for the trip. I got my, you know, some Lifesaver gummies and a Fresca. Anywho, while I'm standing there waiting to be next in line, the people in front of me, there's two men. I'm assuming they were father and son, just on the bits and pieces of the conversation that I was hearing. So they put their stuff on the counter, and the young lady behind the counter says, credit or debit. And so, of course, the older gentleman launches into this whole spiel about he doesn't use credit cards, and, you know, he ain't got no credit cards, all that kind of stuff. And she goes, well, you can use a debit card. And then he goes off into a whole nother tirade about how he doesn't use the debit card because the government can use it to track you and all that kind of stuff. And so she's like, well, no, a debit card is basically just like cash because it pulls the money right out of your checking account. And then he goes off on checking accounts and how the government just uses that as a means to, you know, track you and all this kind of stuff. But the whole time he's railing about what the government is doing, he's literally wearing a syphilitic Sid shirt. And it took everything out of me to be like, dude, the man on your shirt is the government. What? So, you know, he goes on and on. So I'm just standing there, me and the lady, the cashier, we're just kind of like, okay. So my turn comes and I go up there. She rings me up and I says, well, do you have tap? And she goes, yeah. So I, open my phone, do my thing, and I hit the tap and boom, it goes. And she and I share this conspiratorial smile. And it's just like, I don't know what's worse. Is it that these people are allowed to procreate or vote? Because what? If that isn't the literal walking definition of cognitive dissonance, you are railing about the government while wearing the shirt of the man that's the head of the government. Okay. Have a nice Sunday. Good boy.
If this election confirmed anything, it's that when a society is controlled by the uninformed and intellectually vulnerable, perception will always have a better than even shot at defeating reality. Knowledge truly is power. Those who possess it and, more importantly, employ it in their daily lives will always be better suited at shielding themselves against the siren song of propaganda and superstition. And those who do not will always be more willing to hand over their personal sovereignty in exchange for a simpler, less complicated life. Country be damned.
Draining the swamp, building that wall to help protect us U.S. citizens from.
What happened to the bipartisan border bill? We kind of understand that you don't know. But are you trying to lecture us on border security? You are voting to elect a domestic terrorist as president.
Smart people don't like me, and they don't like what we talk about, but he's become radicalized. So many things have been learned about him.
Okay, here is a perfect example of cognitive dissonance in the MAGA movement. At today's press conference, Donald Trump said that he unequivocally did not have an affair with Stormy Daniels. He said absolutely nothing happened. He posits that as a truth. Within minutes, in the same press conference, he posits another truth, that he had a totally legal, legit non-disclosure agreement with Stormy Daniels. And this NDA wasn't some ongoing thing like with a company. It was a specific contract with her at a very specific time about a specific event. You cannot have a non-disclosure agreement about a specific event at a specific time if there is no specific event at a specific time. If nothing happened, there is nothing to disclose. Therefore, there would be no non-disclosure agreement. He would not be paying someone to not disclose nothing. These truths, neither of which is actually true, are in complete and total contradiction. And yet MAGA will bow to both of them without thinking or noticing that they're in contradiction. That is cognitive dissonance.
This is the channel in which we're going to be talking about politics, just straight up talking about the politics, having a conversation with the American people. This is what this channel is going to be about. And I wanted to present that video or present those TikToks because the cognitive dissonance is so so much in your face every time you have a conversation with a MAGA person. And I'm not going to say the right, because it's not all the right, but it is mostly the MAGA people. And most of the MAGA people are Republicans. And this steadfast determination to have a blind eye, to see nothing but what they want to see. This occurred when Barack Obama was elected president. Something weird, dark, and ugly shifted in American politics, especially on the right. And it wasn't just about policy, foreign policy, taxes, healthcare. It wasn't just only about that. It was emotional. It was psychological. And for a large number of people, it felt like the country they knew was slipping out of their hands. Now we had a black man that was in charge. Now we're not in charge as white men who have always been in charge of the country, as white people who had always been in charge of the country. Now we have a black person as the president. So for decades, many Americans had a very fixed picture of what they wanted to have as leadership in this country and who held that leadership and who America was for. So when Obama got elected, that thought process, that picture broke instantly. Oh my God, we got a black president. A black man with a calm voice, a law degree, and global respect became president. And for some people, that required adjusting their understanding of America and what they thought America should or would and could be. For others, that adjustment felt impossible. And instead of adopting, they felt threatened. Oh, shoot, them black people are starting to they starting to get uppity. They starting to be right where we are. We can't let them get up here. We done hired a black man. So when people feel threatened, they don't usually, or feel threatened, they usually don't say, I'm scared. They say something is wrong. And once somebody believes something is wrong, they start looking for someone to blame. And that's the moment when the right didn't just disagree anymore. It solidified that goofy shit that came into play that we see now. It's the Democrats. The Democrats are evil. Democrats are terrorists. Democrats are X, Y, and Z. It became louder. All of them say it. It's louder, more suspicious. This is the goofiest shit ever. What we call later rabbit behavior didn't come from nowhere. It came from a fear mixed with identity shock. The country didn't look like it was supposed to look. Our president was black. And rather than accept that reality, many people decided reality itself must be some kind of fake news, fake this. The Democrats are liars, cheaters, stealers. And that emotional opening is where Fox stepped they propagandized their ass in and filled that gap. Fox News didn't create that fear, but it gave the fear a voice. It gave the fear a storyline, constant reinforcement. Night after night, viewers were told that Osama bin Laden wasn't just a political opponent. He was dangerous. He was destroying America. He was un-American. Sometimes the accusations were wild, subtle. Sometimes they weren't. The message underneath stayed the same, though. You are under attack, and only we are telling you the truth. That's exactly what Fox News did. It's a propaganda arm of the White House, of the Republican Party. When people hear the same message every day from voices they trust, the message stops sounding like an opinion. It starts sounding like the reality. Over time, Fox did its job. It didn't just report events. It taught viewers how to interpret the world through their eyes, through emotion, through fear, through hate. Who not to trust, who to hate. Democrats especially were turned into the villains. Every time I get into a chat with a Republican, I hear Democrats are evil, anti-American, corrupt. They don't love America. X, Y, and G. Not just people with different ideas, but enemies of the United States. Corrupt, evil, anti-American. Once that framing takes hold, something dangerous happened in this country. You stop seeing Democrats as neighbors or friends. You stop believing they could be anything other than somebody coming to you in good faith. I see it in my chat all the time. Everything they do, everything a Democrat does, because it's proof that they evil. They lie, they cheat, they steal, but they never see their side. They never do. That's the blind spot. When you're told for years that one side is evil, always lying, always cheating, always stealing, always plotting, you lose the ability to see them as human, and they do not see Democrats as human. You start believing the facts that come from them, even when those facts are easily proven. And I always had to tell them, go look it up. Don't believe me, but they won't believe me. And they'll still jump in my chat and talk 2-point crazy. Democrats are liars. Democrats are corrupt. Democrats. How do all y'all got the same talking points? Okay? You stop believing in the courts unless they rule in your favor. You stop believing in journalists unless they say something that you agree with. This is how people end up believing things that don't make sense and defending those fiercely. Not because they're stupid, but because their belief system is protecting their identity. Admitting they were misled would mean admitting years of anger, fear, and loyalty were built on a lie. That's a painful thing to face. And most people would rather double down and sit with the pain. So, and this is where it becomes dangerous, and this is where we are. When people believe the other side is not just wrong, but evil, violence becomes easier to justify. When people believe elections are fake, fraud, democracy becomes optional. We've already seen where this leads. Threats against election workers, attacks on journalists, political violence, you name it. Okay? And this is where we got to deal with these people. We got to beat these people. The danger is pretending this will just fade on its own, because it won't. Belief systems reinforced by fear exactly where they want to be. They harden, they radicalize. And if society doesn't address this honestly, it risks tearing us apart. And it's almost to that point. Specifically over this Renee Good shooting. This isn't about winning arguments. It's about whether we can live in the same reality again, whether we can discuss, disagree without seeing each other's enemies, whether truth still matters more than comfort. Why is it you think the right is not like that? Right, the right doesn't have that evil, doesn't have the intent of the Republicans being evil in mind. Okay? We don't. Because once a country loses its shared sense of reality, everything else becomes fragile. Laws, elections, peace, trust, all that stuff becomes optional. That's where we are now. And pretending otherwise is the most dangerous point of all. This is where we are. So from here on out, at the Born Liberal channel, the Born Woke channel, we're just going to talk about the headings and topics that happened that day. We'll pick out 3 good stories, hopefully good stories, and we will be discussing those in a short segment time frame. And I hope you tune in. This is just our first introduction of the channel. I would love for you to subscribe if you want to have this kind of content, or wait until 2 or 3 shows and see if you like it. But I appreciate it. I am the Born Woke, and we will be back tomorrow. And I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you.